Hey everybody, today I'm going to be reviewing a game called Football Fever. Now this game came out in 1982 and it's for 2 players, for 10 to adult. Now one of the cool things about this game to start with, as you can see, it comes in a briefcase style thing similar to backgammon, so you can carry it around with you. Mainly this is a dice game. There's a lot of different types of dice in here, including dice that are shaped like footballs. And there's also some cards in here that cover the penalties, such as running, kicking, passing, etc. Basically, the object of this game is to win by scoring touchdowns. This game is very detailed. It has about a 20-page instructional booklet, and this basically covers like just about all the aspects of football that you can think of. It's a pretty cool game, and it's a really good one if you can pick it up. But I'm going to show you how this game works. So here we go. A lot of dice here that we're going to be using. And basically, these are the main dice you're going to be using right here. This is the offensive dice. These are the defensive dice right here, and this is the ref die. The ref die you're basically going to roll at every turn, mainly to see if you get a penalty or not. These dice right here are the dice that are used in different times of the game. And here we got an extra point die, the onside kick die, the kickoff die, the kick return die, the option die. This is a die you're going to use quite often, especially if there's like interceptions, fumbles, and things of that nature. This is the punt return die, the punt die, the in and out die, that's in and out of bounds. You don't have to use that if you don't want to, and the field goal die. Okay, on this side, you're going to see you got a bunch of penalty cards here, and if you roll a P on this die, you're going to basically pull one of these cards depending on what kind of a play it is. You got the running, the passing, the kicking, and the returning. You'll also note that you have a clock here, and you basically use these pegs here to just keep control of the clock. It's pretty cool the way this works. Essentially, like let's say you do a run play or whatever, that's going to take 3 ticks off the clock, and these numbers here represent minutes. And so if you get to this part right here, the quarter ends and then you go on to the next quarter. This is the thing that keeps track of the downs. It's first, second, third, and fourth right here. And football here is where it keeps track of where you are at on the field. And then you have this little 10-yard marker here that basically is used to see how far you have to go until your next first down. So say you had the ball here on the 40, you would put this right here to show that you have to get to the 50 to have a first down. So that's essentially how the basics of this game. Now, again, you're going to be using these dice to, if you have to do kickoff returns and things of that nature. Mainly the dice you're going to be using are these dice right here. This is the offensive dice, as I said, and this is the defense. With the offensive die, you have a few options that you can do here. You can do a run, you can do a pass, you can do what I call a risky run, a risky pass, you can do a draw, or you can do a bomb, which will incorporate this die. Now, essentially the way this works, let's say you want to call a run. You're basically going to call a run, and then you're going to roll these 5 dice right here. You'll see that some say run, some say pass with numbers. The numbers represent the number of yards you gain. So let's say I call a run. I'm going to roll the referee die with this as well. Roll the dice, and I have gained 1 yard according to that. So that would be a 1-yard run right there. Let's say I call the pass. If I call the pass, I would have gotten 2, 3, 4. Wait a minute, that was a pass. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 yards for the pass. All right, now let's say I decide to call what I call the risky run. I would then throw this dice along with it. If I were to call a pass and I rolled this P, which means pass, I would get an extra 1 yard along with these. Same with the run. There's a TD on here, which means a touchdown, but there's also this negative yardage that would count against you if you rolled that. And there's also an F on here somewhere. There it is. That's the fumble. So it's a little risky to roll this die, but you can get extra yards if everything works out for you. You can also roll this die on its own. That would be the draw. So you would just roll this and not these. Now, if you want to throw a bomb, you would roll all these dice plus the black die. Now, the black die has extra yards on here. It's got like 21 extra yards, but it also has a incomplete on some of these here, as you see there. And so if you roll that, the pass would end up being incomplete. So, for example, you would roll that, and you'd get 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 yards. But since I rolled an incomplete, all those yards are nullified. So basically, you're going to just call whatever play you are going to do, and then you will roll the die. Now, on the defense, right here, these dice right here basically represent what you think the offense is going to do. We have a blitz die right here that has a sack for -6, no good. We have things like that. We have the pass defense die, which can, if you roll this, then their pass will be incomplete. You have an interception right here, a -5, things like that. You have this die, which is typically something you would do on a draw, or it's kind of like a wild card die, I suppose. It has an F, it has -4, incomplete, and things of that nature. Just kind of depends if you think they're going to run some kind of a option or something like that, I suppose. This die right here is for field goals and punts. This is the block die. If you roll a B, then you'll have blocked their field goal and their punt. So the way a defensive thing will work is he's going to choose a die. Let's say he chooses this one, and he thinks he's going to run, and he's going to roll the die and put it under there. Then the offense is going to go ahead and make their choice and roll their die. So essentially, let's say he calls a run. I'm rolling these. Ran 2, 4, 6 yards. Then I reveal this. You see that there's nothing there, so he'll end up getting his 6 yards. However, let's say I rolled the sack, as you see right there. If I roll that, that has -12 yards. So basically, I'll have sacked the guy 12 yards from the line of scrimmage. So all these numbers will be nullified, and he'll be set back 12 yards. Now let's say I roll the referee die right here. I roll it pretty much every time, and I roll a P. That means that's a penalty, and then we're going to draw the card here depending on what play it was. So if it was a running play, I'll draw a running card. So let's just say I draw a running card right here, and it's an illegal use of the hands. And then this will kind of tell you your options right here depending on whether it's against the offense or the defense. The only other die left is this one. This is the recovery die, and this die is the one you're going to roll if there's a fumble. Basically what happens is, if there's a fumble on the play, if someone rolls a fumble, then the person, whoever calls fumble first, is going to get to roll this die. And this is going to determine whether or not he gets the ball back or if it goes back to the other guy. So I just rolled a REC. That means I received the ball, which means I recovered the fumble. There's also a +5, which means I've gone an extra 5 yards. There's also these stars, which basically means that the other guy gets a chance to try to get the ball. So that basically is how that die works. So essentially, this is kind of how the game works. You're just going to, roll the dice, and it works pretty much like real football, and you just keep the time the way you want it to go. You just keep moving the thing, and the instructions here have everything you need. It tells you exactly how much time elapses depending on what play, and it also comes with this dice bag. It also comes in this briefcase thing here too, so you can carry it around with you anywhere you go. But you can essentially probably find this game on boardgamegeek.com or Amazon if you decide to get it. It's a fairly rare game, but you can still get it if you want it. That's my review.